Happy New Year! Welcome to Garage 23 and our first annual New Year special. This is going to be a compilation of highlights from the videos that we've shot this year.
And we're super excited for 2022 because we have even more broken cars, which means even more videos.
Yeah, so we're going to be finishing up some old projects, starting some new ones, and moving on to something really special later in the year.
Suspense. So we want to thank you all for your support.
Thanks for all your likes.
And comments.
And especially all you guys who subscribe.
You know who you are.
We'd like to wish you a safe and happy New Year.
So I've been spending a little bit more time just filming him since I saw that, there's so much work to fixing a car, not only aesthetically, but performance. So pretty cool to see. And I figured, why not start filming it? I'm sure there's other people out there that are probably having in mind to do a sort of project, but they just don't know how to get to it. And after much thinking, he came up with Garage 23. And I was like, that's pretty random. But the 2 in Japanese is ni, and then the 3 is san. So Garage Nissan. And I'm like, oh, I see what you did there. Clever. Yeah, we're big Nissan fans.
Fat dog, fat dog. All alone in the world was a little fat dog. Let me see your face. Oh, he's so cute.
Okay. So today we're going to be doing a string alignment, since in the last video we corrected some of the suspension geometry issues we had, mainly from adding the giant spacers so the wheels don't hit the inner fender well.
Let's roll.
Alright, so steering feels a lot better. It's not as heavy as it was before. We'll see how it does on some acceleration. Significantly better. Still a little bit of torque steer there, but I mean, it's not as bad as it was before. Before you'd step on it and it would immediately just turn right for you, or left, whichever way it felt like. But yeah, I think there's still a little bit of room for improvement, but this is a lot more drivable than it was for sure.
Hey everyone, so today I'm going to walk you through how to restore your headlights. As you can see, it has quite a bit of sun damage, and instead of buying brand new ones, which we don't need, we're just going to restore them. So for 1, they can look better, and for 2, the light will be so much brighter at nighttime once more.
So, tell us, what problems are we facing with this new Nissan Armada 2019?
Yeah, so one of the most wonderful things that can happen when you buy a brand new vehicle is it stops working. And this one has had a problem where it just doesn't want to start, kind of intermittently. Yeah, so it's apparently caused by the brake switch, which we're going to try and take a look at today, see if it's something we can fix.
Cross your fingers.
They're not gonna look as nice as the original ones because these were like polished or whatever. And this one looks like you can see the soldering mark under the metal, but it should still work as long as that layer of oxidation or whatever it was isn't in the way now. So let's try to put it back together. Just like that. Okay. So let's plug back in.
Is that it?
Yep.
All right. Doctor.
Now, let's see if we did anything.
Ah! It worked! It bloody worked!
What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be showing you how we built the custom roof rack for the Patrol. We were looking around online, and all the ones for this generation of Armada were pretty expensive, and they weren't the size that we wanted. They were all upwards of $1,300, and they were still made out of like aluminum and stuff. So I wanted something to be able to hold an entire datsun on top and not have to worry about it. So we went with 1 3/4 inch DOM tubing, 9.5 wall, and custom bent that with the help of my buddy John. And he welded most of it, most of the visible welds. I welded all the stuff that you can't see, because I'm a grinder, not a welder. So we just finished that up, and we put in our light bar, and looks pretty good, all nice and powder coated now.
¿Qué onda todos? Ahora vamos a trabajar en el 350 y vamos a hacer un poco de trabajo con bondo y fibra de vidrio, y es muy difícil pensar de qué decir traduciendo todo en español a inglés. Konnichiwa minasan, kyou wa Ferurei-Z no sagyo shimasu. Today we're working on the 350Z. In this first video, the main thing is working on this front fender area and getting the crown carbon flares bonded to the AIT Amuse fenders, and then building this little extension piece to kind of make it all flow a little better. I basically used the foam to make a plug, so like a mold that you apply the fiberglass onto to get the finished piece. Other stuff in the video is me mounting the body kit. Body kit is an AIT Nismo replica, and I mounted that. I didn't end up using the Nismo side skirts because I went with this Amuse style fender, which requires the same side skirts to match up to it. We even went as far as painting the car in this video because I had to get it ready for a little photo shoot for my friend's company. And then that'll lead into the next video where we start working on the front bumper and doing a little more involved composite work with expanding foam and stuff.
Hey, welcome back, guys. Today's a big day. We're finally done with the Super GT front end on the 350Z. Another thing that I learned was when you're using expanding foam to like make a shape for like fiberglass, the way you do that also has a lot to do with how well it comes out. For example, on the right side, which is my like experiment side, like I was just, you know, like you do in construction, just filling gaps, just like blasting out the foam. That's the opposite of what you want to do if you're trying to get a consistent surface to lay fiberglass on. So on the left side, I learned that you're supposed to go to where like the foam is just barely coming out of the can, and you're supposed to just weave it back and forth in like really, really tight zigzags. And that, when it expands, creates a much denser, uniform surface for you to sand and carve and get your shape out of. So that's all going to be in the video for this week, so stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. After much waiting, we finally have our bumper. This is the Dash Predator bar from Australia. All right.
There's, like I said, we have something else planned for like the light setup on this. So that's gonna be a whole other video because I think this one's already gonna be pretty long. But we felt we had to do a pretty thorough breakdown of how to install this thing since nobody else has really yet. But I wanted something that mimicked the old like Group B rally cars and like all the big headlights they had on the front of their hoods and stuff. And that's why I didn't want like the giant spider eye looking LED ones because I just don't really like how those look. We're pretty much done with the fabrication unless we decide to do that. But we'll probably be dropping it off to powder coating next. Then we'll do some beauty shots whenever we get it back. All right, so we finally got our, not finally actually, we got this back really fast this time. We got it back from Desert Powder Coating. They've always been our go-to for powder coating stuff. If you guys like it, we would be down to make more of them. I wouldn't be welding them, just so you know. They will have like pristine, perfect stacks of dimes on them. Yeah, let us know in the comments if you like it, if this would be something you'd be interested in. And yeah, trying to get it on the truck. Hey, welcome back guys. Today we're going to be finishing up the suspension on the Patrol. It's a big day. We finally got our control arms in and our front suspension, which was out of stock for quite a bit. Little secret, we've been riding on the rear suspension only for a while. But we're going to be fixing that today because we finally got our front coilovers in. And to use the front coilovers, we needed to get new control arms. And we decided to go with Dirt King Fabrication, because their stuff looks pretty awesome. So here you have the factory control arm and the Dirt King one. So you can see quite a big difference. Much beefier joint at the front and a lot more clearance. Whenever I take shocks like this apart, they're usually for, you know, smaller cars like an Altima or 240SX. And I usually just loosen this while stepping on this and just launch the shock out of the way. Those cars are a lot lighter than a Patrol, so I'm a little concerned this time, but Mama didn't raise a chicken. Right now we got a decent amount of clearance all the way around. So should be good here. This is my wife's daily. It's a 2012 G37 Journey. And we bought it in 2013 with like 20,000 miles on it. It's coming up on 100,000 miles now, and all I've done is change the battery. Yeah. It would get so hot to the point where it just wouldn't run anymore. Like it would literally start like clanking and popping and jerking, and I literally thought we killed it at that point. Like,
hey, yo, Monty, he thinks I'm dead. Look at his face, he's buying it.
make sure you have a good quality funnel. All right, so we're gonna top it off with some coolant that I got. All right, so it looks like we found our culprit. And actually, if you move it, it's completely broken. We need another coupling of that size. All right, so now that we know what's wrong, we can make the first of what's probably many trips to the store. Be right back. And we're back. Check engine light is off now. It's just your typical tire pressure sensor light being on. So I think we're all good now. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. As you might have guessed from the title of this video, we found a transmission. If you watched our last video, you might know that we are going to be VQ swapping the yellow Datsun. It goes into all the gears, but when you put it into third, it definitely feels weird and it gets stuck on the way out sometimes. So there's definitely something wrong. Let's get started and see what's up. Second up is a set of punches. You're also going to need a 10, 12, 14, 21, and 27 millimeter sockets. Maybe an impact if you got one, but not really necessary. So let's get started. So you can see here, this is fourth, and this is third, which is stuck there. Is cereal soup? Find out on the next episode of Garage 23.
I don't move much.
He needs moral support, but you went away.
Yeah, I'm longer stick.
It's like I'm making noise or way for something to fail.
Okay, it wasn't this bad, man.
No?
No, the C-clips. Pull the bearings and the stacks just walk, like, slide right off. Because it had internal gears like that.
Cool.
But there was no real press. It just had so like each stack had its own C-clip.
So this is the real question. Why was this guy stuck?
Was that it right there?
That's a freaking C-clip.
Had.
How the hell is that supposed to come apart?
Pull each one off individually.
Pretty sure John said that.
Yeah, but there's no room to. Like, and then the manual says to pull both stacks of gears off at once.
I have no idea.
Okay, well, you got zip ties?
Of course I got zip ties. Who you talking to?
And we're back. So big thanks to John as always for letting us borrow his equipment. I should explain the first thing we were doing when we were there was taking apart a countershaft from a 6-speed Maxima transmission because I was trying to get this out, and this has a similar part number to the bearing on our third gear on the 350Z transmission. Not similar enough though. It just isn't gonna work. But I also wanted to see if the press could take apart a regular countershaft that wasn't like damaged in any way. But luckily it worked and we got everything apart. We ordered some overnight parts from Dubai and Japan and a couple of things we found locally. That's pretty much it. So now that we have all the pieces that we need to get started, the only question that remains is, are we gonna be able to put it back together? Before you guys say anything, I know we're in the middle of building a transmission, but there's been some developments. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. If you guys didn't recognize this is a VQ35HR out of a 2008 Infiniti G35. We have a little bit of damage on this side because it was a front right collision and the alternator took most of that hit. And unfortunately that transferred a little bit to our front timing cover here, but shouldn't be too bad. This is pretty easy to replace. So we're probably gonna have to find a new one of those and another alternator. Other than that, I wanna just start tearing it apart and see what the inside looks like. Other than new like external gaskets, new RTV silicone to seal everything up, and throw it in the Datsun and see if she spins.
Just checking for any glitter. If this engine had bearing failure at any point, you'd see a whole bunch of sparkly stuff everywhere, but it looks pretty clean. Yep, looks like an engine. All right, so if you guys will notice, that gasket is kind of pushed out to the sides of the oil gallery. This is exactly what happens. And eventually the gasket will completely fracture and come out, and then you'll start leaking oil and lose oil pressure because your oil's coming out of there. So the reason that this video wasn't the last part to putting the transmission back together was because this is an HR motor and the bell housing pattern is actually different than standard DEs. In case you're wondering, it does sort of bolt up, but not really. Okay, so where we left off with this one, we had installed this nice new Bullbar and these nice off-road lights, but we haven't had a chance to wire them up. I found a few options as far as like aftermarket switch panels, which is what we got right here. There's a nicer version of this called the Emu or something like that, but it was like $1,200. I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like paying over $1,000 for some relays. So yeah, this is really good for the price. This was about $250-ish, something like that. So you can see you got your 8 fuses and relays all built in there. PCB is real nice looking, good quality. All the connections are weather tight. So like I said, for 250 bucks, this is more than adequate. What I opted to do was put it on this side, which also, as you can see, doesn't have a whole lot of real estate. But let me just yank this baby out. And then to fix that, we have a new air filter. Like so. Bam.
Oh, beautiful.
Today we're going to be connecting all of our lights to our switch panel unit that we installed in the last video. We're going to be installing our light bar also, 50-inch rough country DRL light bar. We get to wire up our spotlights and driving lights and stuff. This is what it came with. So this is perfectly fine, but I'm gonna solder this just so you guys don't give me crap that I didn't solder it and do it properly. But yeah, I just connected all this just to make sure that the lights worked and everything. These are just some coax cable clamps I got from Lowe's. All right, so of course this had to get a little sketchy. That seems to be working fine. I think that's about right. If we refer to our first video, and if you look at the selector on 3 and 4, you can see that the thick part of the selector goes toward 3rd gear. So that's how we need to put it back on. Okay. And there we have it. All right, so where we left off with this project is that we've been rebuilding this CD09 transmission that we got off of OffRoad, and we've been replacing the synchros and
a broken third gear, and luckily he happened to have a JK40 belt housing laying around that he was willing to sell us, which was a huge help. So let's check out and see what we need to do to make it work. Here are both belt housings, the DE being on the right and the HR being on the left. So it's significantly different, and that wouldn't have really worked. I think the only way to get it to work with our block would have been to cut part of the section on the HR lower oil pan that kind of blocks this area of the starter from bolting up. But we also already had a nice lower mileage starter that came with our HR. So I didn't really want to go and buy a new one. So that was another aspect that kind of led to me making this decision.
Ooh, that's hot.
Here's our input shaft from our DE, and here's the new bearing that we got. And thanks to some very helpful friends of ours, we now have a 2mm input shaft spacer, which should make up that difference. All right, home stretch. The only things left to do are get the windage tray back on and basically put everything in the case. And to do that, we're gonna need to take it off the vise now. Hopefully we don't drop this. Straighten it out a bit. All right. That went pretty well. Even though it's a brisk December evening, it decided to blow up the radiator. And when I say blow up the radiator, I literally mean like, I've never seen this happen to a radiator before. It literally just, all right, so first thing you should do whenever you need to work on the cooling system is drain the coolant. Okay, now we got the upper radiator hose and the cooling fans to take off, and it should pop out. Would be nice if we had a sponsor to help us out with this, but we don't. We had to buy it ourselves. I've always wanted to try out their radiators since they seem to be all the rage nowadays. Fancy. All right, I think that worked. Now I just gotta bolt the condenser back to the radiator. All right, well, brand new radiator and we're immediately overheating. So back to the garage. There's coolant kind of splattered everywhere, but I can't really tell where it's coming from. What we found so far, a pretty good indicator of a bad thermostat. We're gonna have to go find a brand new thermostat, and then that's probably gonna be another video because I'm pretty sure the thermostat's gonna be a whole deal on its own. So thanks for joining us this time, and stay tuned to the next one and see if the thermostat fixes this thing. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Garage 23. And what's better than fixing your car after it's broken down on you? Doing it again, because you didn't actually fix anything. All right, so in the last video, we installed this shiny new Mishimoto radiator. That didn't actually fix anything, and we're still overheating pretty quickly, I might add. I'm really hoping this goes smoothly. I mean, we can see the thermostat pretty clearly. Right there. Can't be that hard to get to. So first thing we gotta do is, I guess, drain some of the coolant.
What are you doing? You can't piss there! Use the toilet! It's coming out! It's coming out!
Scientifically speaking, you're not supposed to have copper and aluminum in the same cooling system. Metallurgically, the copper will start to erode the aluminum, or the other way around.
I'm not a working scientist, but I know a lot about a little science stuff here and there.
But anyway, you just need to make sure not to just run water with something like this. You need to have coolant because the coolant will inhibit some of that from happening. All right, anytime you don't cross-thread a bolt, that's a good day.
All right, been driving for about 20 minutes now, and temperature is rock solid.
We fixed the car for the most part. One thing that I wanted to add is 350Zs actually have a little port at the back on the heater hose to help with bleeding. I didn't find that out till after, which is kind of why I was struggling to get all the air out of the system. Yeah, if you need to bleed the air out of the system, that helps a lot. But yeah, now we can get ready and go to our buddy's little event here any minute, so.
What up, you guys? Welcome back to Garage 23. And we're actually not on our way to the junkyard this time.
Yeah, we're dressed a little too nice if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, so we're actually on our way to an anime pop. It's gonna be a very exciting event. We'll have food, cars, anime merchandise. And Red, in the previous videos, has been trying to get the 350Z fixed for this particular event. Hi, baby Chan. Setting up merchandise. Hello. This is Kopi.
Hey.
It's kind of cold, huh? Kind of cold.
You're good.
It's the Spoon Sport. They it's their rigid collars. It's like a brand that they sell.
BG Kara.
We have the little white.
Which one's your favorite?
Probably the NSX. It's pretty clean.
So today we have Joey, CEO of Kopi Slaps, joining us for a junkyard video. And like our other videos, you want to stick to the very end so you can see how much we pay and how much it actually costs at the dealership.
Great idea. Come join us. Yeah. Pro tip, when you're looking for a part, there's plenty of cars here usually, so just keep looking for one that's got the least amount of work involved. Even as far as having the tire already taken off is a plus.
Oh wow. It still has the owner's manual from 1987.
Oh look, you can see this little trail that somebody made of tires.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
Come in, idiot.
Why?
Right side you lefty-loosey, right?
Yes.
That still applies?
Yes.
So it goes to the left.
Yes.
Okay. Stand up. Yep.
When you guys go to Junkyard, make sure you take a Joey.
Yes. That's the most important thing.
Damn it.
You almost got it. I don't think mine popped. I broke my string.
Oh. My God.